you see a giant wave of Zerg units just crashing against a base, right? It's easy to think it's just chaos, a mindless rush. But there is a deep strategic mind behind that swarm. Today, we're going to deconstruct the Zerg and uncover their core strategy, which isn't just a single plan, but a really powerful and flexible blueprint for completely dominating the map.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get a handle on the swarm's core identity, what makes them tick. Then, we'll dive into the unique economic engine that powers everything they do. From there, we'll see how this blueprint actually gets put into action, from risky early plays to complex mid-game control. And finally, we'll talk about what it really means to master the Zerg way of thinking.
Okay, so before we get into all the crazy strategies, we need to lay the groundwork. What is it that makes the Zerg so fundamentally different from everybody else on the battlefield? Well, unlike other races who might lean on super powerful, expensive units, the whole Zerg philosophy is built on one thing: quantity. Their units are cheap, and they're designed to be cranked out in absolutely overwhelming numbers. And this is all possible because of their incredibly flexible production system. See, every single unit, from a basic little worker to a terrifying Ultralisk, spawns from one building type, the hatchery. This lets Zerg expand faster and build a massive economy, all aimed at one single goal: just swarm the enemy with so much stuff they can't handle it. Now let's look at the absolute heart of this blueprint. We've got to talk about the one resource that truly defines Zerg gameplay. This is the engine that drives the entire swarm. So while other races are busy balancing their minerals and gas, a Zerg player's most critical resource is something else entirely. It's larva. Every few seconds, each of your hatcheries pops one out, and that little larva, it's pure potential. It can become anything. But here's the catch: you only have so many at any given moment. And this leads us to the core decision a Zerg player makes constantly, dozens and dozens of times a game. Every single larva forces this choice. Do you make a drone and invest in your economy, setting yourself up for a monster late game? Or do you make an army unit to defend yourself or to go attack and control the map right now? The best Zerg players, they live on a knife's edge. They are trying to make as many drones as humanly possible for as long as possible before switching to an army at the very last second. Okay, so with that constant economic tug-of-war in your head, how does this blueprint actually get put into motion? Let's check out how Zerg players use this system to make the first move. A classic, famous Zerg gambit is the 9 pool, and it's named that for a simple reason. You build your first military building, the spawning pool, when you have exactly 9 worker units. This is an incredibly early commitment to making an army. It's a high-risk, high-reward play designed to get Zerglings out on the field faster than pretty much anything else, dictating the pace of the game right from the start. So here's the trade-off, right? Going for a 9 pool lets you put on immediate pressure and also gets you to your next level of tech, the lair, much faster. But, and it's a big but, you are sacrificing your early economy to do it. If your opponent scouts what you're doing, they can just build a couple of defenses, and suddenly you're way, way behind. It's a huge gamble that can literally decide the game in the first 5 minutes. But what happens if that early all-in doesn't win you the game? Well, this is where the blueprint really shows off its flexibility. The Zerg just adapts, shifting from that early aggression to focusing on technology and map control. And one of the most iconic Zerg mid-game strategies has to be Mutalisk harassment. Mutalisks are these super fast, flying units that just perfectly embody the Zerg style of being mobile and disruptive. The goal here isn't to win in one big fight. Nope. The idea is to fly into your opponent's base, pick off their workers, wreck their economy, and force them to pull their army all the way back home to deal with you. Now, a key part of this is a technique called Mutalisk stacking. It's this little trick players figured out where you can get a whole flock of Mutalisks to clump together so tightly that they basically move and attack as a single entity. This not only maximizes their damage, but it makes it incredibly hard for an opponent to click on and kill any single one of them. Mastering this requires some serious micromanagement, though. The pros don't just send their mutas in and hope for the best. No way. They use specific commands like hold position to fire one perfect volley and then get out. They're manually clicking on individual enemy units to focus them down. They'll even stack their Mutalisks right on top of an Overlord to make that death ball of units even harder to target. For controlling the ground, the blueprint gets even more insidious. We're talking about the Lurker. These things burrow underground, become totally invisible, and then attack with this devastating line of spines that just rips through anything in its path. They are the ultimate ambush weapon. Now here is a pro-level trick that takes the Lurker to a whole other level. It's called the Hold Lurker technique. Normally, a lurker will just attack anything that walks into its range. But if you select them with another unit, like an overlord, and hit hold position, you can stop them from attacking automatically. This lets you wait. You can wait until the enemy army is lined up perfectly before you manually spring the trap.
And this right here, this shows you the whole point. Instead of just hitting the first few units that walk by, you wait. You let them walk deeper into the kill zone. Then, at the perfect moment, bam! You unleash the spines, hitting the entire army all at once and getting the absolute most out of that splash damage. A whole army can just get deleted before they even know what hit them.
Okay, so we've seen the foundation, the economic engine, and the slick tactical plays. Let's put it all together now and really understand the true philosophy of the swarm.
And this really gets us to the core idea. The Zerg blueprint isn't a rigid step-by-step plan. It's a philosophy. It's all about constantly adapting. It's about taking those big economic risks, scouting your opponent relentlessly to see what they're up to, and then using that information to build the perfect counter-army at the very last second.
So ultimately, playing against this blueprint forces one critical question onto every single opponent. Playing against Zerg is a race against the clock. It's a race to do damage, to disrupt their economy, to try and end the game before they figure out your plan, adapt to it, and just completely overwhelm you. The final question isn't what is the Zerg player doing? It's can you stop them before they perfectly counter what you're doing?